Bottle, 2 Jews, 2 mics, 2 hours, starting now.
Oh, it's you.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. Oh, how come I can't stand it? How come I can't not stand it? I can't respond to you doing a character.
Yeah, because you don't have what they call chops.
What? That means I don't have... That doesn't mean I'm not good at improv or something like that, right?
No, but...
Good morning, Josh. I just want to say before I forget, I thought last week went really, really well. So my image was that Saturday, you'd be like, zip, 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 take out a couple of schmips.
Uh-huh.
And was it hard?
It was just as hard as any week.
Why? Why? What did you cut out? Just let it go, baby. Let it go. But were you happy with the results? Because I want to promote the hell out of it.
No, it was a show, Andy. There was nothing special about it.
I'm promoting the hell out of it. Wait a little. I can't wait till our session's over.
I think
so
the only difference
horn.
was I was in a good mood on Monday. That was the only thing that made it different.
Isn't that amazing? Imagine if you had been in a good mood from the jump. But who could be in a good mood?
What kind of psycho would I be?
What kind of psycho could you be on the first podcast? How are you? Oh, good. Oh, good. All right. That was the first podcast. I did not get a chance to watch the news today. I haven't been watching anything. So I was going to, do I need to are we close to I have to pack up? Or, is it time to leave? Or are we still, what do you think?
Well, no, as we've established, your pension is a fixed number. You're okay. The rest
I know,
of
but
us.
I understand that. But a couple nights ago, I was thinking in my darkest hour, if everything goes wrong, it could affect me.
Well,
in fact,
maybe you should start typing some nice things on Blue Sky.
To who?
Some nice things about the administration.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. I had a follow up that would have. I was unbelievably. What was I talking about? I'll go for my.
Is it time to leave? Was your in?
Oh, that's a terrible bit. That can't be it. It had to have been a transitional bit somewhere, going somewhere.
It was about Trump and your fear. That was the universe we were in.
Yeah. What universe that I'm not in? The
this
coherent
one?
thought universe. To having a coherent thought. I was talking to my brother the other night. I told him that I'm getting more Bob's Burgers parts.
Uh-huh.
And he said, can I cut back on my annual support of you? And I said, I cannot hear you, Robert. Cannot hear you. And he said, oh, it's a bad connection? And I said, no, it's a bad conversation. That's what I said to him. Because I want that gravy train rolling. Even though, do I need it? No. Do I ask myself questions? Yes.
Was it some sort of deathbed promise he made to your mother or something? Because it's...
that's not funny because my mother did make a deathbed promise to haunt us in the afterlife with her nagging. Oh, sure. Here's my mother on her deathbed. This is what you call a deathbed? I wouldn't even lounge in this. Oh, no wonder why I'm dying. I'm in a fakakta. She didn't even talk Yiddish.
Could you please move me to a death chair?
That's the type of... I want to keep doing this material about my mother and father dying, but I can't conjure up the contemporary nature of it.
Well, it's more contemporary than material about them living.
Yeah, I used to what if I opened my act by doing bits and then later going, folks, I guess I have to say, my parents are dead. These bits were just classics that I couldn't let go of.
Joel was doing a bit about his elderly mother who has since passed, and he kept doing the bit, but then he stopped to go, but she died and I was like, if you're gonna do the bit, she can be alive in your act, okay? You don't have to bring the audience down mid setup.
That is true. That is true. I have to
keep the joke. Don't keep the joke.
But I have to. But you? Yes.
You're not a journalist. You're a comedian.
Why do all of a sudden comedians think they're like they're doing the honesty profession? I have to be real. I can't leave out. You know what it is? Because hacks twist the truth for cheap laughs.
I have a friend who's doing stand up for one of the first times coming up, and I was just saying to him, because he was saying how his setups are long, and I'm like, well, the first thing you have to know is you don't have to give a reason for why you're doing every bit. You know, you don't have to give it context. You don't have to give every joke context. The context is you're on stage with a microphone.
That makes sense. Where do you know young 25-year-olds?
Not young, older guy.
Okay, he's a guy. Is he a funny person to begin with?
Yes, and already
cool.
A comedy professional.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. And I'm going to be. Let's pour over him. Don't forget to come and see me at the Elks Lodge. I think I'm there this week.
Ooh,
the Elks Lodge.
Sweet. I'm because of my one gig coming up.
Oh, you ready to go?
I'm not ready to go at all, but my head is very much transitioning to stand-up radar, which is a whole different.
It is. It's a whole different. Don't make me say muscle. It's a different muscle.
It's a different mode. My muscle,
yes.
my muscle is the same, but my instinct to capture thoughts,
yes,
is much different. You know, because I have all these thoughts. I'm used to them gently floating into the ether and me chuckling a little bit before they go. But now,
right? But you're not used to putting everything down. You got to write it down. You got to write it down anyway because you could put it in one of your scripts.
You could. I'm just not that guy.
No, you have to write everything down. But when you're not writing everything down, it's because of emotional problems. That's what it is for me. It's like just emotional. In other words, the world is falling apart. Do I really need? You know, it's like I get stressed out about things and don't follow what I normally do, which is write everything down.
Yeah.
You know, what are you going to tell me now that I'm, what's my character? Blowhardy? That wasn't Blowhardy, was it?
Blowhardy at all.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you.
You're Mr. Misread My Face guy.
Well, that is how I was born. I came out of the womb saying, why is that doctor upset?
Why did that guy hit me?
Right. And very soon after that, oh no, when I saw my mother.
This isn't going to go good.
Isn't going to go good. First of all, within 5 minutes, she just goes, could you just take it down a notch? You're annoying me, she said. In the first 5 minutes of life.
All right.
I like the idea of I like that idea.
See, Andy's writing something down per our previous discussion. Andy's like,
birth. Well, I have that whole birth chunk about coming out of the womb and doing 10 minutes.
Uh-huh.
You know, that's a tough womb.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Right.
Now I got who's that guy with the slapping? I add your joke, never credit you, and boom, I'm back on the road full time.
It'd be good if the audience finishes their borscht in time.
That's fun. That's fun. Yeah. This is fun what we're doing now. You know what I'm saying? I normally don't talk up the show, and even when I'm on it,
right.
I don't talk about it much.
Sure.
I don't even talk to you much during the show.
You talk over.
I talk over. I didn't mean I don't talk that much. I said I don't talk that much. I don't listen. That's what I meant. I don't listen that much. I don't listen that much. I forgot what listening was, so that I couldn't remember. Okay, stop this bit. Everybody knows that we work out together during the week. We go to Pilates and throw out some topical ideas.
Uh-huh.
Are you going to get a prop? Because if you get a prop, I'm going to get a prop.
It's a war. It's an escalating
Don't even start
arms
with me.
race.
So here's what I did, Josh, this weekend.
I'd love to hear.
It's really fun. It was really fun. You know how they say don't go on Reddit and those things?
Yeah.
They say don't go on Reddit. Well, obviously they're saying terrible things about me on Reddit. That's a given. But I actually went not to a Reddit wormhole. What is it when you go, you can't, through a hole that you can't stop?
Yeah. We'll say wormhole.
But I
rabbit hole is awesome.
Rabbit hole, that's it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, by when I was done, taking me out of the equation, I actually felt like I got some clarification on some issues. Like there is a part of it that says these people are saying this, these people. I could see the appeal of Reddit initially, and maybe it's still an appeal because there's still people saying interesting things on it.
Sure.
In the context of they are criticizing things, but sometimes it's interesting, right?
There are much more actual conversations taking place there than there are on social media.
Right, absolutely. Maybe the only place you can.
You have to find them. You have to find them, and you can stumble into some hornets' nests of just awfulness.
Really, because when it gets awful, it gets awful.
Yeah.
Why would a 5'5.5" Jew want to get into the business, right? So I start to look up Andy. I don't know how I got onto Andy Kindler, but then it got into Andy Kindler Bob's Burgers. And then it was just really, I have to say, really, really enjoyable, a really enjoyable yarn they spun about me, okay?
Yeah.
So here's what it is. The first couple of years of Bob's Burgers, I had about 10 episodes. Initially, Lauren was going to try and give me as many episodes as he could. But then as the show developed, I didn't get as many episodes. So that means in year 3, what happened to Mort? Where's Mort? How come Mort's gone? Okay. And so now recently, they go, I see him back on the show. It's like, so that conversation happened. So I start to look out. So people speculate, right? So here's what I learned about myself. He's a friend of Lauren Bouchard. That's one of the things. That's kind of how I got my work. I'm semi-retired. Someone said.
Well, you talk about being semi-retired, so it's not.
He's semi-retired. He said, "I'm semi-retired, so it's hard. It's hard for him to schedule. It's hard for him to schedule things. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, you're off in Arizona.
Oh, is that what it is? I'm on my RV somewhere.
Sure.
But they did say semi-retired so many times, and they just generally...
Did you try it on? Did you see how it felt?
No, well, I know I'm semi-retired. But then there was other people, then they get to the things like, well, change, well, I didn't get a new voice for him. They have a lot of that stuff. Why can't we get a new voice for him? So it's just interesting because they also treat you, their image is that if they don't know anything about me, I'm a voiceover actor. You know what they mean?
Yeah.
Get a new voiceover actor. And they're imagining I'm a semi-retired friend of, and I am a friend of Lauren Bouchard. I love Lauren Bouchard, but they are kind of saying, well, he got his, Lauren Bouchard puts him on the show, but again, drilling down on the semi-retired and retired. And then that catches on. I forgot to leave out the part, but then that's just assumed after 7 people say it.
Right.
He's semi-retired, and it's hard to schedule him because he's I still don't understand. Oh, you said I could be on a trip. I would think I would be waiting by the phone if I'm semi-retired.
No, semi-retired implies a certain voluntary nature.
Yes, exactly. Because I'm too old to do a voiceover. I don't know what it is. What you just retire? Just because I think they retire from the. He's a journeyman comedian, so he probably got tired.
Yeah, I don't think that's what they're saying. I think they're giving you enough respect to say he's semi-retired, as opposed to nobody hires him anymore. He's out of the business now. He's virtually out of the business.
Oh, so that was fun, and
see, I know it's a more new experience for you, but like.
Oh yeah, from
Mystery Science Theater, this kind of hatred of me that I could search for goes all the way back to the mid-90s for me. Like the Mystery Science Theater people were some of the earliest people talking shit on the internet about the thing they loved. So,
that makes sense. That makes sense.
And I was the subject of much of the shit early on.
It's a mini Reddit then. It's a little Reddit.
Well, this was the AOL message boards and shit like Usenet and shit like that. Yeah. But, one of the earliest flame wars, as they call it, was about people battling over the better of the 2 main hosts of the show. I then when I went back for Cinematic Titanic, I got into that internet reading trap because we were putting out our DVDs, and I wanted to see what people.
It hadn't changed.
No, it had changed. It was kind of fun to see see my image get rehabbed in the Titanic thing.
Yes.
But the main thing is I had to find an emotional place to be able to see that shit and not wear it for the next 3 days after I see it. Very early on in the internet,
Yeah, I think it was Michelle Obama or somebody said they just learned early on they have never looked at a comment column.
Yeah, I stopped. I stopped. I did a little when when the movies came out. I wanted to see people's reviews of the docs and stuff.
Yeah,
but that was a different. My ego was watching from a different place when it's about your film,
Yeah, you know what else is hard now? It's when you go, let's say, I think Google is like, there's something evil about the whole scene over there. But if you put in movie reviews, you're not going to get Vincent Canby and who else was the big one back then? Vincent Canby. You don't get like the reviews because there's not even an up and running. Every paper does a review anymore.
Right.
It's like, but I mean, I guess if I looked, I guess it's the way you search.
Yeah. I mean,
it's the way you search.
I usually can find the New York Times review.
Yeah, but it's usually like, and what do you think of I don't know, like Rotten Tomatoes, I know has a good cred for humor. I don't know what I'm talking about.
No,
but
I don't know what you're talking about.
No. They have those awards every year, right? What am I talking about? What's the name of the site?
Rotten Tomatoes, you just said.
Yeah, that they have a thing every year, what the worst movie was, and they have a sense of humor about it, or am I mixing up those?
I think you're mixing things up, yeah.
But originally, Rotten Tomatoes meant if you have 5 Rotten Tomatoes, it's no good. But now it is good because they're not Rotten Tomatoes.
No, it's
I'm
not.
too old to read reviews.
It's
too old.
What your ratings are on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, I get Rotten Tomatoes is the site. So.
I understand that, but doesn't the site have a soul? Like the guy who did. Why don't you go? How about this guy? Hey, would you go to the movies? Remember that guy? Hey, I like movies. You know what I'm talking about. Early.
Are you doing Gene Shalit? What are you doing?
No. Past Gene Shalit. It was like a.
Hey, I like the movies.
Ain't it cool?
Oh yeah, Harry Knowles.
Cool? Yes, ain't it cool?
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
Different.
It is different. There's different times.
Yes.
But you could look up. For
Ain't
example,
It Cool was a blog.
Right. I get you. I understand. I'm not completely stupid. So just talk to me as if I have. Why are you shaking your head?
No, I was looking up long, stupid symptoms.
Why do I? Okay, so I wanted to. One of the things I think is very good about this show, although you don't agree, is I reveal unpleasant. It's not even unpleasant sides, but I admit the entire thing that's going on and show the embarrassing side. So I was listening to this podcast, and it's called Inconceivable Truth.
You get to see Andy's personal sausage getting made.
Yes. And so this guy named Matt Katz, and he has this I like the podcast a lot. It's called Inconceivable Truth. He thought for a long time he got lied to because he was born in the 70s, and they told people that they were mixing sperm with the donor. They lied to women then. They said, oh yeah, we mixed your husband's sperm with this other sperm. So your husband's sperm will probably fortify this, but that wasn't what it was just a way. It was just obviously it wasn't the husband.
It was a way to save the husband's ego, is what it was.
Exactly what it was.
Yes.
So he finds out that he finally tracks down his father, and it's an interesting story. So I wanted to write to him, and here's where it came from. I was like, I'm starting to realize, and I talked about this. I know you hate it when I get serious. I know you hate everything about me. I know you hate my mother.
I hate it when you get serious. That's just not true.
But I was telling a story to my therapist about, and I will make the story very short. But the story was, it's a song called "The Kid with the Butterfly Net." I was really into Graham Parker a lot. I don't know if you ever were, but I was just obsessed with him.
Yeah. Squeezing
Out Sparks and all these albums. So it's "The Kid with the Butterfly Net" is a song. And it starts out with a violin. So I was basically telling my therapist that I have all of these feelings that I know are whatever you want to call them, they seem like messages from how the universe works. And I think they're actual things to take in, but not to necessarily, go to the bank on that. That's what these things mean. I'm already getting lost.
Are you talking in terms of like things being omens, kind of like signs from the universe?
Yeah, yes, signs,
Okay.
but and usually positive. Like the example I always use, which is because it started me on a 10-year looking for God thing, was that after college, I really, because of my father's atheism, I just assumed there was no God. And every time I thought there was a God, I would say that was my father's face would come. So I was driving down Hawthorne Boulevard in like 1983 or 1984, and my parents had given me money to get a CD player. So I'm passing by one of the stereo stores. I said, I have to, if I don't remember to get that CD player, I'll spend it on something else. And the next second I looked at the license plate in front of me and it said CD Go By on it. Okay. So, except it was B-U-Y, not, no, it was B-Y-E, not B. I don't remember how it was spelled, but that started me on a thing where, because I was wrestling with thinking that there was no God and thinking that the belief in any kind of spirituality was stupid, so I would just argue. I was kept looking for more proof. Okay. And I got very disgusted with it.
And being
right?
a narcissist, that proof had to come in the form of direct messages from God to you.
No, it wasn't that sick. It wasn't that sick, but it was license plates. It basically took the place of license plates that I'd be thinking about something and something would come up, right?
So that's more like an OCD worship kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
You can add the tone later.
Like that, but I'm just trying to get like, you are now looking, this had somehow in your head, you thought that you were going to find messages and license plates, so you were reading them with that eye.
Yes.
Okay.
And now, after all these years, what I think is, whether they're messages or not doesn't matter. I think they're messages, but it doesn't matter. It matters. Let me see if I can explain this. I'm listening to a Graham Parker song. All of a sudden, there's a violin. Beautiful violin.
Right.
So now I'm listening to it because I played violin. And I came to hate the violin, like poison. But I still love the violin sound. So maybe my mother wasn't lying to me when she said I liked the violin. So listening to the song, now I'm listening. And the song it's called The Kid with the Butterfly Net. And the whole song is about how this little girl, she's chasing a butterfly, but she's not... Is what can what she catches be real? And he's talking about that she doesn't care about, she's not really even trying to catch the butterfly. She's just waving her arm around and basically saying that that's how you get before the world closes in on you, So when I was, does that make sense what I said there? In other words,
yes, he's celebrating the mere sense of play.
Right. And she goes like, the chains.
Rather than objectives.
And that she's not scared, too. She's also not scared.
Yeah.
Like, the chains haven't been forged yet. So she's totally in this, and you can see it in her eyes. And that's the point that he's making. And so when I was 7.5 years old, and I'm not making this story up, but of course, as I argue, I drive myself nuts, and who cares? But I was in summer camp, and I had a butterfly net, and I was walking down the trail, and I had this butterfly net, and I was like filled with this like childhood. I don't know if you remember, like you wanted something. Well, you wanted something. It wasn't like a passive wanting something. I gotta get that butterfly, and with all of the turmoil that I had as a kid, and then all of a sudden, the moment froze. The moment froze, and I was just in, and I felt what it felt like to be in the activity without wanting anything. And I felt complete euphoria. Now, the reason why I think that's significant is I could not summon up euphoria on my own when I was 7.5 years old.
Right.
It was something that I think was a message from God. But now here's the thing. I'm talking to my therapist about this. And I dug into what's the negative side of it. Because the negative side of it is, I want to tell you, and this happens to me between me and you, I want you to believe that it's a godly thing.
Right.
And then it becomes me having to convince you because of my own feelings about it.
Right.
And it's like, my therapist says, And so with the Graham Parker thing, I was like, boy, if I could meet Graham Parker and I could tell him how I liked that song. I don't know what, but I think, then I would have lunch with Graham Parker or whatever the thing would be.
All right.
My therapist, I said, and it starts to drive me crazy. I know I'm not going to meet Graham Parker, but it affects my experience. And so she says, can it just be enough the enjoyment of the revelation? You know what I mean?
Right.
Without it having to mean anything else. The same thing with like singing. Can it be enough that I've learned how to try to sing and how to attempt singing? Does it have to be? Because not only is it enough, but the idea that I will only be happy if at 80 I put out an album or something like that, or any kind of thing going past the moment of you learning. The life lesson to me was I felt I was defective. I didn't think I was talented. I did on some deep level, but I thought I was horribly untalented or lazy or whatever. And when I wrote that music for a Sam Shepard play in college, the truth is I did not think I was going to be happy unless I came out to California and met Sam Shepard and had him listen to my song.
Right.
And so it was only a few days ago that I was really able to fully take in, that's a great song you wrote, Andy. You must be very, it's like, that's a great song I wrote. I don't have to argue anymore about it. It is a great song I wrote. It's enough in and of itself. And, but man, was I in pain. I did not realize that when I was coming out of college. I just thought, I got to be a star. Or it's a young person's thing to think that sometimes too.
Yes.
You know?
And it doesn't go away for some people, It doesn't. It's what drives people in some cases, is that mania.
Yeah, but I could also see
but
totally.
The thing that you're talking about is like can go either way too. I mean, that I need, it's like it can be Mark David Chapman too. I need to tell him about this, it's that.
Right. Absolutely. But my feeling is that growth comes from not pretending you're not feeling something. It's to acknowledge.
I totally agree with that.
Oh, I'm not saying you're not agreeing, but it's like,
I totally agree with
I'm being, because part of me is like, no, that's a good, you should want to meet Graham Parker. Maybe you should circle around Sunset or something.
Right.
He wrote a song about that, Stupefaction. Right. Mostly in my life, I would segue.
But that's fueled by Graham Parker's life would be better if he knows me.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, well, I know that part's crazy. Yeah. But also that Graham Parker needs to hear my music for me to feel good about myself.
Right.
So that's even in a different, I'm not even a working musician, and I'm hoping I'm going to meet him, and he's going to see, I love you as a comic. You love me as a comic, but have you heard Karen? That type of thing?
Right.
And the thing is, but the point is, so I was going to update this to this weekend. So I listened to this Matt Katz's, and I was like, I have this urge to tell him I enjoy his show.
Yeah.
I had this urge. And so I see he has an email, right? So I email him and I email, I really like your show. I really enjoy, there's a lot of, that you celebrate Jewish humor. I know he learned that he was part Irish. So I know that very funny. You and your wonderful friends are very funny. It's a joy to listen to. Right. And so he writes back the next day. Andy, good to hear from you. Something very nice, Matt. And I can feel there's a hollowness in me. And the hollowness is the desire to write that email is better than me. I'm not going to even judge it. Because Susan was saying, I said later in the day, I was saying, oh, I'm writing him a letter. She goes, why are you judging you? It was nice that you wrote him an email.
Right.
But I was it's just like, even like that, I wrote that letter to the, reviewer of the LA Times. It's just natural human things.
Right.
But the feeling of actually feeling, I don't feel good about it. That is a residual of how I've been living my life with social media, of course you can get the actual reaction. It's all right there. So you feel like I must tell the White Lotus guy that I love his show. Right. And it just completely. So then as the day went along, I was like, oh, I could even read his thing. He said, nice to hear from you. He didn't say, at first I thought, oh, this is like, at first there's a great part of me that still wants to say it wasn't enough, like the kid part of me. And so it's really a thing of growth. It doesn't mean I'm going to write an email to everybody, but it doesn't mean that I'm not going to write an email to everybody.
I don't quite understand what the what the not satisfied part. I don't.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Okay. Because in my fantasy life, this is how I let this out.
Okay.
Dear Andy, thank you for replying. My wife and I were talking about how much we loved your comedy the
I was
other day.
about to say,
such a great.
I'm a huge fan. Yes.
Yes, huge fan. Now, what I'm saying to you is, I would be lying to you if I told you that thought didn't appear in my mind.
Yeah.
And so I feel it's freeing by admitting it. And I think, I'm not saying I'm doing a government service, but I do think I perform some kind of, I see this show as a way for me to reveal what would be, in some level, shameful things about myself. Right. I really thought about them, like the letter to the LA Times guy. I was ashamed of that letter.
You're laundering your shame.
Right. That's exactly right. No, I think it gives the listener a way for them to, you know what I'm saying? Sure. What is it? It must be good for the listener.
Right. No, I mean, luckily, one of my favorite things is self-awareness, that I enjoy in people. So it is fun to see you discover these things about yourself, Frank.
Like I think I've mentioned this Ione Sky.
And I have vestiges of all these things in my head. They move through much more with less friction than you, I think.
Yeah.
I can roll my eyes at myself and move on,
Right.
But I still have some of those same voices going, I'm special. I am special. The world needs to acknowledge it.
And when you can get past it, not to be corny, but the idea that, of course, I can't do what you do. I can't do what people I love do. That's why you love them. Right. I can't. I'm not funny. That's what you're appreciating. And if it goes into how come I can't be as funny as him, that's where it just starts to eat at you. And it's going to be naturally part of it. Why can't I be in an Adam Sandler movie? Why won't he put me in his movie? It's all of that kind of stuff. And I think that growth for me was acknowledging. I used to not acknowledge. I used to make it a fight. I have to tell Jay Leno he's an asshole.
Right.
I'm serving, and so I think that I had a kind of screwed up moral compass, very black and white.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just you. I think it's you put yourself in the position of having to deliver justice in some way. Some sort of creative vigilanteism almost. That worked in the context you were doing it largely. Luckily Montreal gave you exactly the forum to do that. And so, it took some of the heat off of you because that's the job,
Right.
But the fact that you actually got that mad and really felt like you were the guy to deal out justice, I think at times,
yes,
that's where it's a little.
It made me horrified. It made me horrified. If you take martial arts for 16 years because Alan Covert looked at you funny, it affected you. If you still say 10 times a day, I think I could take him. Which is, I don't say 10
That's
times
good.
a day.
No, just 3, 4.
No. But the thing is, the song and here's where it does get spiritual for me in terms of my life, not spiritual like the guy who runs around in a spaceship. But the song that Sam Shepard that I wrote, he wrote the lyrics and he had each production write different music. It's a song about home. Uh-huh. And it was I got the message of the song, but I hadn't worked through any of these things to get the point of the song, right. Which is home is wherever you are. That was his whole thing. Home is any place. Any place you feel is home. And he says he's a great lyricist and he says it in an interesting way. But I knew that's where I wanted to end up, but it was like not now I realize it. In other words, now I can fully, more properly, absolutely in a way say I can feel the significance of it. I can feel that I am moving to a place where I'm not afraid. It used to be I'd be afraid to be in the room with somebody. Like even getting married was like, everything was hard. But I think things can get easier. I really do. I mean, I think I've segued into something else.
No, I mean, I think they can and should get easier. If aging isn't about shedding bullshit along the way,
yes,
then you're just wasting time.
And the black and white thing is a bad thing because it either makes me the hero or it makes me the villain, right? Instead of, in other words, what's the truth?
Well, and it makes, yes, because you're making the other person one of those things too. Yeah. Right.
But I would tend to go back and say I think my tendency is to go back, it didn't happen and invalidate my feelings. But that's also wrong because I was bullied by Adam Sandler. He absolutely bullied me and years later said, don't worry, I'm not going to punch you.
Well, but here's the counterpoint to that. Even though it wasn't physical, you bullied him too.
True.
You bullied him first.
Yeah, according to him. Yes.
Well, I mean, I think that's true.
What? No, wait.
He didn't go after you first.
Bullying part?
The bullying is you sat up on stage with a microphone without him in the room and talked shit about him to an audience.
Why is that bullying, though?
Because it doesn't give him an opportunity to. You're not saying it to him. I mean, it's not literally bullying. It's like I'm not saying you got in his face and intimidated him, but you created the first trespass against him.
Yeah, I can see that. But the thing is,
I mean, granted, in terms of maturity, physically intimidating isn't the way to respond to that in comedy, but it wasn't unprovoked bullying.
Here's where I disagree with you. He was bullying me physically.
No, I understand. I'm not saying that what you did was equally an equal thing.
Right.
What I'm saying is
I hurt his feelings.
You hurt his feelings first
because he thinks that these movies might be horrible. Because
I don't know.
I think it's because he started out as one of the best stand-ups, and then all of a sudden went on this gravy train that maybe he didn't even care about. My image is that he knows they're horrible movies. I don't think he thinks they're horrible movies. I think he thinks they're great movies. So when I come along and make fun of them, it is me saying, you suck.
Right.
You suck.
Right.
And the thing was, the
because
truth about
you disappointed me.
But here's the thing. Here's where you can't. Right. So here's the thing. I wouldn't be a comedian if I hadn't said these things because I got into comedy to say these things on one level or another. So when I go back and look, how could I have done it better? I feel like that's a mistake. I'm not saying you're saying I should have done it better.
I'm not. I'm saying my whole thing is about the shit you're carrying about Adam Sandler, and if the lore is like he bullied. Do you
think that's how I'm currently doing it? I don't think I am. I think you could see that I.
No, I think I think it's absolutely changed.
Yes, and I also don't feel good. Look, I didn't feel good about the, like where it went bad was like I just assumed Seth Rogen was something. And so I threw him in with the other. It was like the downside of this alternative comedy thing in the 90s was we're so fucking cool and everything that's mainstream is hack.
Right.
But that was a case where he was an open enough person to give me a chance and go, because he didn't understand where it was coming from. And then after a while, I didn't understand where it was coming from because I think it feeds on itself.
Right.
It's not ever clear. It's not one way or the other unless I had come to if I'd been more comfortable with myself, I probably wouldn't have gotten in as much trouble, but you can't live your life that way. There's no way to relive it that way.
Well, and if you were more comfortable with yourself, you wouldn't have had the jealousy to fuel all these jokes.
I want to make it clear that I know what you were saying was not that I bullied him. You were saying
but I'm just saying,
I struck out.
Yes,
I struck out.
You had the first act of aggression.
Yes. If I'm going to say, in my mind, it was like, oh, he should have seen that. And he should have said to me, you know what, Andy? He called me at home. Andy, I just want to say, buddy, the stuff you're talking about, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have cast the ugliest woman in the world. And, buddy, let's play basketball this week and all this kind of stuff. But here's the thing. In life, you can see people who want to be top banana and they want you to be second banana. And I've never been comfortable, whether it was Jeff Garland telling me or if it was Adam Sandler kind of looking down on me.
Right.
And I don't like that. I don't like that feel.
No, I don't either, but that's, but I separate. I mean, I learned that very early on when I started working with Louis Anderson when I moved here. It's like, I can't be part of a fucking entourage. That's what he wants. And
right.
That's not, that doesn't fit me well at all, And so I learned that lesson and went, don't get yourself into that situation again, kind of, rather than wanting both things.
Right. And the thing is, I'm thinking about things from his side is that he had all these problems, like he couldn't come out with his sexuality. And so you can see how, and he got very famous. So you can see how you would get more self-absorbed, but so it gets to that point where you're not relating to people anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have to assert, I'm Louis Anderson. I'm not saying he did this.
Right.
I'm Louis Anderson. You're Josh. Whatever it is.
Yeah, I didn't take it quite that personally.
Right.
In the sense that I was like, no, this is what Louis needs with people around him. I don't want to be one of those people. It wasn't. I didn't feel like he was keeping me down. I felt more like, this is the opportunity you can have with Louis, and it's not a good one. That for you, Right.
And I think also it's the idea of like, he had an amazing life, I think, and acting things, but I do think that he did struggle with.
No, I think he had a fairly difficult life, frankly.
Oh, what did I say?
You said he had an amazing life. But
no, I meant like a career. I mean, what he did was amazing as a career.
Yeah.
No matter what you say. No, I think he had a horrible life because I couldn't even imagine coming out as gay in the 1970s or whatever.
He didn't.
Well, I know he didn't, but they knew he was. But I know, but that caused problems. And now people can look at, why didn't you just admit it? But people don't know what it was like when in the most homophobic profession ever.
Right. Why? I don't want to keep talking.
I'm just saying that it all makes it like walk a mile in his shoes. When he went through all that stuff and then he was extorted and all that stuff, you could see how maybe his appreciation for others was limited. Yeah. Although, did he have that? Did he love people he loved? Like, no,
I think so. I mean, he was supportive.
And he laughed too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, he was mean as shit, but I mean, he was very funny in his meanness, but he was, he was diva-like in many ways.
Right. Yeah. Yes. So am I, except, I didn't have the, I think you have to have a certain amount of success to be a diva. You know what I mean? You have to have stuff going.
I mean, there wasn't. I mean, he hit on a lot of my friends, all of them blonde and young. So I never felt like I was in his chicken hawk claws at the time when I was 20.
Did he do this uncomfortably? I mean, I've heard Tom Rhodes
really uncomfortably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you have to make a young comic tell this giant star to fuck off,
Oh, because they had to actually get out. Like Tom Rhodes, I think, had to get out of the apartment.
Yeah.
But now we've went from a charming story. I didn't realize that. It's so funny to me because it's like I'm almost talking about not Louis Anderson. I'm talking about somebody in his position, and I don't even really know what happened to him. So, so many things like I assume about. And I do this my whole life. I assume something about people's personality, which is not unusual from their comedy. I assume that they're wonderful people.
He was a showbiz creature. He was 100% a showbiz creature. I mean, I watched him interact on all levels of show business, basically, and how he like he was incredibly generous to anybody who came up to him as a fan.
Yeah.
He was, he was almost like he was Nashville-like in his, in his relations with fans, but he had built this image of this family comic. You know,
Right.
All the material was about his family and his parents that made him famous. So I think that's why he was particularly scared of coming out, was because
the extortion must have been.
Yeah, I'm sure it was incredibly painful for him.
Yeah, but he shouldn't have been so wolfish. That's his own thing.
I think he was pretty wolfish throughout his life. You know?
I didn't feel that way when I slept with him. I thought it was loving and tender.
He comes in like a lion, but he goes out like a lamb.
Oh, okay. You've somehow ruined everything for him. Not really. I don't want to say that. It's not all your fault. How I'm feeling right now. Okay. It's not all your fault. Anything that I know that we can say, is anything good happening? Is he almost impeached? Is he almost impeached?
No.
Did the stock market go further down?
The stock market has been fluctuating wildly today. I'm waiting to see where. Oh no, Dow's down 875.
That's like almost 1,000.
Why, yes.
Okay. Now, here's the thing. I'm rooting for it to go down so he gets impeached.
No, please stop. Please stop rooting for that.
Because you have a lot of your you've lost.
We don't need to talk about my
$3 trillion.
situation fully, but it's not a good situation.
I've lost. I just want to say that these Republicans are. I have never seen people be more nasty. They're bringing a new level. Did you see that guy? He's a senator, and the guy from the Health and Human Services was working in that department. He got fired, and so he got
fired for a reason. You look like a loser, kind of a thing.
You look like a loser.
Yeah.
And then he even has a picture of himself closing the doors. These people are subhuman. I mean, and it's like when Fox News spends 20 minutes joking about. Oh, we got one guy who wasn't, Crimea River. One guy wasn't. The lack of humanity there is astounding to me, because you think you're not making any connection.
Right. Well, the only way this works is if everybody in a government job is a villain. For having taken the job.
Yeah.
Like they took the job with the intent of screwing the American people. That's how they have to portray all these people, essentially. Doesn't work when a third of them are veterans, and
Yeah.
I mean, eventually, you got to believe. I have to believe, because I want to sleep at night. But you have to believe that these Republicans will stop fearing being primaried by somebody who has to say Trump is the greatest.
Oh yeah. So that's a hope that you have.
That's my hope. Yes.
Yeah. How many of these guys that are people who said that when he did the tape, they said, I could never vote for him in any good conscience. And like Mike, that Mike hideous guy from Utah, and that Mike Lee. Yeah. And all of a sudden, they couldn't be more happy. Talk about, shouldn't you try to hide your naked ambition somehow?
No. Remember, shame's not a factor anymore.
Well, you pointed that out. Like I went to Susan goes to this doctor. It's great. Dr. Sugarman. He's the brother of Danny Sugarman, who worked with the Doors, and he's just a great guy. And I don't know why I had to say that. Danny Sugarman's not alive anymore. But here's the point.
I'm just saying, Danny, just relating your doctor as trying to recommend your name drop your doctor, connecting them to the Doors doesn't necessarily up their credibility.
Right, and he couldn't be more opposite. But in his office, 20 years ago, I went in there. All of a sudden, there's Randy Newman in the other office.
I walk into the office. I hear, "This is the end." My only.
So
sorry,
I said
Randy,
to him,
you're name dropping Randy Newman. Okay.
Right. So I said to him recently when we went in there, I said, when I was here, I was so excited. I saw Randy Newman in the office with Dr. Cantor, and he goes, he said, "Well, did you say anything?" I said, "No, he's in an appointment." And, Jack Sugar was like, "Wow, that's a rare trait." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that just like kind of what you're saying, that the whole thing would be that you barge in, you go, "Randy Newman, how are you?"
Right.
That's who we are now as a country. Hello.
Yes. I'm taking a selfie, whether you like it or not.
Bill Murray had a very interesting interview. I don't know if you heard about the interview he did about why he got in trouble on that one movie, and it's interesting because I think like he's not obviously wasn't sexually coming on to this person.
Yeah.
He decided to kiss her, and one masks the other, and I guess he didn't. She goes, then I didn't realize she had pre-existing conditions. Anyway, it turned out to be a horrible thing for him and his reputation. But I think it could have been. It's more exaggerated. In other words, how he may be unpleasant. It's not a horror. It's not like a. He's not like a sexual guy who's. In other words, I can't understand what I'm saying. He's a guy. He would come up to you on the street and put your arms around you.
I would say he's a dick, but not necessarily a predator.
Right, and he can be a very funny dick. He
Absolutely.
Can be very, very funny.
It seems to be he's very funny if you're a fan of his.
Right.
And he's not as funny if you're a collaborator of his.
Well, that's the. Oh, I imagine. Oh my God. I'll never forget when they were making fun of him being in Garfield, and he said, he pretended, he goes as a sarcastic, I thought these Coen brothers, he pretended it was the Coen brothers.
Right.
Oh, is he famously throws things off the set?
No, I just think he's has the ability to be quite caustic, I get the impression.
He goes both ways. He can be extremely complimentary and saying about how he appreciates. So this interview where he does talk about what happened, you do feel every question he goes, that's a good question. In other words, he liked this guy who was asking him questions, but you could see, as I was thinking, if I was that guy, any moment it could have gone off the trails. Any moment it could have gone off the rails, whatever it was. But it is interesting. I
don't know. I think there's having been interviewed enough celebrities documentarian wise.
Yeah.
I feel like there's some narcissistic judo in that's a really good question. That's a very insightful question. Those sorts of things.
It could, no. But you know what? That's not what he was doing.
It's enlisting them to your side in a way, you know.
Yeah, but I don't think he was doing, in this particular case, it was more like he was doing that, and he is actively saying question by question, I'm now approving of you.
Right. Well, and he knows the power, I think, of Bill Murray is one of those people that you and I and other people would want him to like you.
Right, of course, because
you know, and he knows that power, I believe.
Yeah, it's like when he would talk about how when Milton Berle came on the show and they kind of like fucking tortured him.
Yeah.
When they came on Saturday Night Live. That's kind of the school he was in.
Well, I think Milton Berle was one of the great dicks of all time, too.
Oh, probably he deserved it.
He was really one of the great assholes of all time.
Don't say the greatest dicks, because people...
Well, that's true as well, yeah.
Well, how is that possible?
He'll take out just enough to beat you.
Why does he have to have a 10-inch penis? I should be the one with the 10-inch.
You're assigning the number to it. I think.
Oh, you think it's actually smaller than an advertisement?
No, I don't know. You could be underplaying it. I
held it in my hand.
I just know it's an anaconda by legend. So.
I held it in my hand.
Yeah.
Thank God
I never had
to. Okay, you've sickened me now. You sickened me with your strangely homoerotic things.
Yeah, well, this is why.
Don't do it yet. I don't think you should.
This is why they're killing off Mort.
The proof's in the purple. You can see it in their face. The proof's in the purple. A purple packet from their favorite place. It's 100 years of knowing what you want a gift to say. The proof's in the purple. You'll brighten up their day. The proof's in the purple. That's the Bachman's way.
Hey, Admiral.
Hi, Corporal. Hey, Klinger.
Hey, did you see last night's MASH when Klinger told Colonel Blake that he was trans? And Colonel Blake said, what is this bullshit? Everybody's got a thing today?
Different times.
Different times, really. I can't even construct. I don't want to say that. I can construct. I haven't done it yet.
To.
No, I choose to be unfunny. I could be more.
Uh-oh.
Interesting. Okay, move my cursor. You see, I learned from last week. What did I learn? Move my cursor. My cousin. I can't record a session with you if I'm staring at an X.
Yeah.
You know what I'm here? You hear me?
It's like you just were perpetually wrong on the Family Feud.
Oh, shut up, Josh. Down with you. Down with you.
There you go. You finally triggered your a non-spontaneous thumbs down. Good job.
You know, it's so...
Nothing? Nothing? Double fingers?
You're hurting my feelings.
Well, that works. I don't need an avatar then.
Avatar. Is that what that movie was about?
Yes.
About people?
Yes. Little pop-ups that annoy you and confuse you.
I'm never going to see that movie. Boop, 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 boop. I'll never see that movie.
No, it's okay.
Wah, wah.
It's okay.
Did you see it? You did.
I did see it. I didn't see it in the theater, but I saw it.
I don't know what's better. Me making smacking sounds or me disappearing for 30 seconds like I'm a horse going to a trough.
I would say,
you know what I mean?
I'd rather you disappear and then don't talk about having disappeared, and then it comes out nice and clean. But if you disappear, come back and talk about how you disappeared. Then people, what is it?
Oh, I see what you're saying. You've been saying this from the beginning. You were saying, bring the people into your living room. It goes, I'm not saying, Andy, I really am saying this. I'm not saying that you shouldn't make a comment about something you see 3 feet away from you. I'm really saying you should. But if you do, God forbid, at least bring the people in. Say I'm looking at it. Don't go, ooh,
hey, when you're done with this, could you pause for a second so it can all lift out cleanly?
You really gave it a visual. You gave it some visual help there.
That's good.
You know, you could feel like it was something like a root being
coming out of a timeline.
Yeah, like a root, and like a root being pulled out by the source. Oh God, that got me going. So why can't that? That's not enough. We do that. We wrap it up. We say buy our thing.
You got yours. Let's let some other people get theirs.
Oh, so I'm like a basketball player. I go in, I hit a free throw, and then I run out of the building high-fiving everybody. That's right. It. I've done it again.
In warm-ups.
You know what the problem is? There's lots of problems.
It's you.
One of the problems is I make the coffee, but don't drink enough of it before the show.
That is a problem.
And I decided to not take any sedatives. Not sedatives would be terrible. Not take any Adderall or anything. I'm going to try and go back to sleep. As Susan said, why are you guys doing it so early? And I had to say, I don't know. I thought it used to be.
It's like doing morning radio for your Elks Club gig tonight.
Yes, I'm doing an Elks Club gig, and I all of a sudden went, not white with panic, but just like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. So.
No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't want to go.
And I want to go back to sleep after this to rest up for my long drive to Van.
It's probably the best. I mean, I think if you told your agent you could widen your 2-mile radius for gigs.
I didn't tell him that.
I'm saying.
I filled him out. I filled my shit out like it was an Enterprise rental car. Would you like a 4-door acting? I don't even have the energy to construct something terrible.
No, you don't.
And I think
it can only be good. It can only be gold.
That's right. You're saying it shouldn't be. I should only talk when it's gold.
No,
or
I'm just
gold?
saying you don't have the energy to make something terrible. So it must be wonderful.
Ergo. How come you don't use ergo enough? How come you don't say ergo?
Because frankly, I didn't think you'd understand it. But now that I know.
Uh-oh, don't say anything. No donkeys honking. You know what's hard? When the congestion is coming from here. You know what I'm saying? Not from here. From here, from my spilkus. Right. Not from here.
You're pointing, both are off screen, the things you're pointing at. So I can sort of fill it in my own blanks, but I don't.
I'm saying the heart, not the throat. The heart, not the throat. Would you like to see more? Would you like more 3/4 of me? Would that be better?
Put me on puppet cam.
You have and that's like a Dennis Miller. Put me on puppet cam.
If Dennis Miller was Yiddish.
Dennis Miller could be someone you'd say does not have really a Jewish, he's not a Jewish
He doesn't have a Jewish bone in his body.
No, he really doesn't. he can't have a schmear. What do you gentlemen? Okay, I'm not launching into my Dennis Miller. Not at these prices. You know what I'm saying? You're not paying for it. Bang, bang, bang. I watched a movie last night because I was having trouble sleeping. It was a documentary.
Okay. Now we're really narrowing it down.
I know. And here's the thing. And it was. Let me just say this. It had.
We're honing in on what it was.
It had moving images in it for sure, if nothing else. It's kind of bringing everything.
Nook of the North. It's
bringing everything full circle back here on the podcast. Then not full circle would be we talked about this in the first show, but I definitely have a memory of giving a review of this documentary. And now I realize that it was, I know I'm boring now, but I know I am thinking speed it up. Yeah. I am thinking
Are
speed
you
it
thinking
up.
That good? Yeah.
I am thinking speed it up. I says to myself, what did I say? Oh, so close. You
Once again, just give me a pause. This will all lift out clean.
It sounds so terrible. You make it sound like an industrial cleaner of some type. Like you have to.
That's how I feel on Saturdays. I'm an industrial cleaner.
What, are you going to have to shark me? No, it's the documentary about...
I have to bleach you like Hillary's hard drive.
Hey, look, hey, you know what? Thank you for coming to the Cleaners Convention this year. It looks like there's abyssal more people than last year. Abyssal more.
We have it under great authority to know that you suck.
So I am... it was the Cowsills documentary, and we had watched it. I remember doing a report about it.
Sure.
But what happened was I watch a lot of things. I have a thing we've talked about before. It's not interesting, but I very rarely can walk around the house without some kind of sound in my head or on a TV. I don't like I'm trying to not have I don't like the TV, certainly if it's news. So I usually have one of these things, like usually it's Amazon, and I watch a lot of documentaries that I don't really see. So I'd watched this once before, and my report had to have been incomplete because I didn't know many of the on-screen characters. Yeah. But it's a pretty amazing story. And now I'm going to segue out of my hilarious intro to it to tell you that it's a really, really great documentary. And it's like this family was like, first of all, they were the family that the Partridge Family was based on, right? But they were also, to me, like made Brian Wilson's father look like, even worse than Brian Wilson's father. This guy was, their father, Bud Cowsill, which sounds like a fake name.
It does.
And he used to beat them up.
But on the other hand, if it was a fake name, why would you choose it?
That's true. That is true. And I feel I had to check my what do you check when you check your privilege?
Yeah.
No, I had to check I think I checked my movie reviewing. It's like, let's say I was on NPR or something I have to call in an apology. I gave a review on Fresh Air in 2022. About a movie I'd only seen listening to on my headphones. I apologize.
Yeah. I don't think anyone remembers, including myself. So
I don't think anybody remembers me. So the thing about it is I didn't realize, or why would I have realized? I used to make fun of this group because of the song Hair was such a goofy I thought Hair was like a goofy version of the Hair song on Broadway to make it more commercial.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's the thing. What did I know about the Cowsills? How can you not? It's not like I'm going to gravitate through my searches for how many like kid groups or. They put the mother in the group, and nobody wanted the mother. And I think it was the father. It's the father's idea to have the mother in the group. But they're great. All I'm telling you is this: all of the brothers, including the sister, that doesn't make sense. They're all pretty great. And the songs were pretty great. Now, I know they have 4 of them, but I would put those songs up with it makes you happy, sleepy, but flowers in the room. can't be it. Flowers in the snow. Flowers everywhere.
Is that Love is Everywhere?
Yeah, flowers in the air. Right. Yes.
That's Cowsills?
That's the Cowsills.
Okay.
And I would say, and now one of these guys who watches have a documentary go, and I would put that up against anything else that the Stones did.
I've got some blowhardy fuel.
Do you remember? Yeah, I think Blowhardy must have been great in college because I argued with a guy once who said the only thing you have to ever listen to is the group Yes.
Yeah.
And if you listen to anything other than Yes, you're a fucking moron.
Now, I am at a particular age where the Cowsills could have been entirely fictional to me. Like
That's true.
They were just never, ever, ever on my radar until I heard people referencing them later in life. So I was like one of those kids who, saw the Flintstones before the Honeymooners, or saw the Partridge Family before knowing who the Cowsills were, and even saw the Monkees before knowing who the Beatles were. All these reruns.
That makes such sense, knowing the numbers.
Yeah.
Now. But I was even too young maybe I always want to say if it was something around my time period, but I didn't know it, that I was too young for it or it's my parents' fault.
Well, it's just, the thing about those days, it's just like, could have been as simple as I watched a different channel on that day. There was another show that I liked.
No, well, we'll never be able to erase what's so riveting about the show is that you're Gen Z, I'm Gen not. Boom Boom, I'm Gen Boom Boom, I'm Gen Boom Boom Boom. Is my generation called the Boomer generation? Is that what it's called?
You are a baby boomer.
Baby boomer, baby boomer.
I'm gonna destroy the world.
Doctor, my wife says I act like a baby, I talk like a baby, but it's just because I've come from the baby boomer generation. I mean, what could I do about? Oh, I got sick. This is why I had to break up Andy and Bill.
My wife always complains about this when she's changing me.
I don't want. I'm not. You want 7 diaper jokes by 4? Get Weinstein on the phone.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely doing. But the thing is, and heartbreaking, like I said, heartbreaking the way that this father kicked one of the kids out of the band.
That's pretty bad.
And he tells this story. It's such a compelling story.
I assume it was the bass player kid.
Why? Because
I'm just kidding.
I'm trying to think. It's so weird.
Get no respect is my joke.
Well, drummers get killed in Spinal Tap.
That's true.
Time. But so many things that this. Let me just give you.
I guess it's better than being in the Partridge Family, where they actually had to recast one of their children.
Who did they have to recast?
The little drummer kid.
Oh, not Bonaducci?
Not Bonaducci. He was all Bonaducci all the time.
He was all in, right?
Yeah. I think people would have noticed if Bonaducci got subbed out.
Well, they had Shirley Jones in this documentary. They interviewed her because she said they knew it was about the Cowsills. They were told it was about the Cowsills when they made the Partridge Family. And she asked, "Why aren't you using the Cowsills?" They go, "Well, they're not actors." I know I don't tell a good story. It's just a fucking story. Yeah. Right?
Stick it up your ass. I saw Shirley Jones in a large chunk of The Music Man the other day.
I'm going to admit to you right now something that really upsets me, and I had to tell Susan, and she didn't know. I've never seen The Music Man.
Really?
I know the various songs that my brother would sing.
Yeah.
And it must have been in the background.
Yeah.
But
it's one of the few musicals that I have room in my heart for.
But is the concept that this guy is starting a band, but he's not a musician? Yeah. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I had no idea. I thought he was like a door-to-door salesman who came to town.
Yes. Selling boys' bands to a town.
Oh, my God. Now I have to
buy the instruments and the uniforms.
Is it Monty? It's not Monty Hall, right?
It's not Monty Hall. It's Robert Preston. Part of the reason I like it is because I saw it as a kid with Dick Van Dyke.
Is that a different version?
Well, it was a stage version.
Why don't you stop being mean to me for one fucking second and look at your
What the
and look at your own
Is that a
and look
different
at your own
version?
heart.
Dork? No, it's the exact same thing, only with a different person in the lead. What?
I am becoming more like my mom. I really do love the one thing my mom would do is when she would want help and she would do her version of like, tell me what to do, AOL, tell me what to do. And the guy goes, I'm going to go check. She goes, don't quit on me. Don't quit on me. Don't leave me. I think she said, please don't leave me here or something. Oh,
Yeah.
Just so good. Oh, she was good. So is Maid Marian in The Music Man? Marian the Librarian.
Correct.
It's in
See
The
how
Music
I gave
Man.
you time to go back and revise as opposed
It
to
is in The Music Man.
Yes.
So he comes to town. She
Just
falls
watch the
in love
movie.
with.
Watch it. You'll enjoy it.
Well, you can help me.
All right.
She comes to town. She's
She's
falls
there
in love
already.
with
She's
him.
already in town.
Right. So she falls in love with the Music Man
You think?
because she thinks. Man, don't get me started on the hurdy-gurdy man.
That's worse.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, I was supposed to do a table read today, but I'm not doing the table read.
Ah.
But I still panicked when it said, traffic is moderate. It will take 23 minutes to get to it. And my first instinct was, what have I done? As every Kindler does.
Right.
What did I do? Or what are you going to accuse me of doing?
Right.
Or what have you done? Or can you keep it down? We're trying to, etc.
Yeah.
I don't have good people say why? As they say I'm not funny because I don't have good punchlines. I say if the punchline was all that was important about the joke, why would people get dressed in various disguises? Like Abbott and Costello or something. I'm not high, but I play someone who is. But I didn't take my Andy go woo woo. I didn't take my woo woo stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm doing this
Again,
like-
if you're taking Adderall as your woo-woo stuff, you have been wildly misprescribed this drug.
She has never said to me how I'm supposed to ingest it. Is there something on the thing that says you shouldn't chop it up with a razor blade? Oh, it doesn't say you can't smoke it. Both of those things sound awful, like very painful.
Yeah.
And I don't think you could smoke it.
You could probably devise a way, but it wouldn't be healthy.
Are you saying this idea of like, I'm not going to shoot heroin, I'm just going to smoke it is not healthy? Is that what you're saying? When people go, let me do it by smoke wise. And then, I'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
You told me never, you said there's 3 rules. The third rail of podcasts is talking about heroin. You told me that when we first started. Yes, we did. Because I said I wanted to pose as someone who was like, I think he passed away too, Jerry Stahl, Permanent Midnight. I wanted to be the ex-drug person on the show, and you would always be checking with me, kind of like an Artie Lang shtick.
Yeah. It's the 3 H's, the Hitler, heroin, and hee-haw. I just won't listen to you.
Oh, damn it. You could have just bowed on that.
I could have gone the third thing route, but why would?
Yeah. Which is my prison.
Yes.
Welcome to my prison. I still think it's funny that stand-up comics in the 80s would have a lot of them would have a very generic act, but they would still at some point go, welcome to my world. They go, as if you know them. Now, you know me.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm in the store. They go, we don't have that anymore. We don't have and what do you think I'm going to do? We don't know what you would do. We have no idea. But because here's what I think they do a good club comic to get through a club set, but it's not good necessarily in the long run. Is there are ways to cajole the audience into paying attention and liking you.
Yes.
I was never able to do it.
You can create the little temporary cult of personality if you're good at it.
Yes, yes. Like, and God rest his soul, he's not dead. I mean, God bless him. But Anderson would just he would say, I say this thing that's not true. I say that every time I drink champagne, I sound like I've ingested helium, and then I do this high voice. But it's not true. It just gets a huge laugh. And he was right. It gets a huge laugh.
Yeah, see, and I don't, I mean, I'm not saying that that's a good bit, but I don't require journalistic truth.
I agree. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Well, it just, you have to draw the line somewhere. Like, when David Sedaris started to, well, he didn't do it on purpose. Maybe he did. I'm not saying it's a scandal, but I used to always think these are real stories, kind of the way it happened.
Right.
And then he did a thing where it was obvious. He didn't say one way or the other before the thing, but there was obvious flights of fancy. And then you go, it just kind of knocked me sideways. What, 8 years ago when it happened.
All right. I think the humorist relationship is much more delicate than the comedian.
It is. It is. I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. I mean, if I was not a stand-up, I think the world would be better off. But if I just had to rely on the quality of my individual words on the page, and they didn't know who I was, and then they read my Groucho-like memoir, right? You know what it's going to be like, right?
You are not the best on paper comic.
That's okay. Yeah.
I had a pair of ducks in my pool this week.
Just like who?
Tony Soprano, and I was just as ripe for an existential crisis when they landed. Thankfully, they left fairly quickly.
Did you have your robe out there and you were like looking at them intently, and it reminded you of somebody you had killed recently?
A lot of that.
A lot of that.
Yeah.
Are they handsome? I mean, don't give me the ugly duckling thing.
No,
I'm sick of that song.
A strapping couple.
They're handsome animals, right?
They are.
Are they animals? Susan and I were debating that.
Yes,
they are animals.
Yes, they are. Yes,
so that makes penguins animals.
Indeed.
Yes, they are. We do this all day and all night. All right, I got one for you, pig. The sad thing is how it captivates both of us in a magic world of not knowing. Did you see March?
I'm getting you a C and say for Christmas.
Did you see March of the Penguins?
I believe I did. I believe I did.
I want to see that. It sounds remarkable. Every time I see the Penguins, I'm laughing. Like, do they know they're doing a shtick?
If penguins make you giggle simply on sight, I would say you will enjoy the shit out of that movie. Yeah.
Well, they also say that penguins mate for life. Is that true? Is it an apocryphal story?
I believe it's true. They pair off.
How, based on what? The way each one looks like as a penguin?
You look good in black and white, honey.
What could they possibly have in common except everything? What are you going to do today? I'm going to...
I think I'll find a fish. You? Same.
Is there an evolutionary reason why the penguins went the other way, except chance, as Darwin would say?
The other way.
The other way is that they could have been birds? I don't know. Couldn't they have been birds?
South, I guess, is the other way in this case.
If I had an option, let's say, Andy, do you want to be a bird? I say, sign me up. And they go, okay, flightless bird. Then, thank you, boys, my face red. First of all, they shouldn't call themselves flightless birds if they're that nervous
it's like
about
leading
it.
with your weakness, it really is.
That's right. That's right. You know, I like to think my self-deprecation is my strength, but what do I know? I'm a fucking moron.
Comes out clean now. That's beautiful. Thank you.
I don't look now. Oh, great! Now I'm gonna have to call you constantly all Saturday. How's it looking? How's Mr. Golden Throat? Okay, I'm sorry.
No need. No need.
I'm so sorry.
But the ducks were a bit. We have because I think there's this bird sanctuary a mile or so away in the basin.
I had no idea of this.
We get a remarkable variety of birds in our normal little suburban backyard.
That is really cool. Like you might get like something crazy, like a black, orange breasted or a thing. Blue jays.
Occasionally blue jays, hawks, owls, occasionally, crows, certainly.
Yeah, what's up with what is the deal? Crows look like if there were enough of them and they would attack you. They don't look like friendly birds. Is that their whole shtick?
I think that's their shtick, but if you really get to know them, they're quite gentle. They'll bring you little presents.
They're big. I used to walk down the river before I fell horribly a second time, and they look like they're not small. They look very Hitchcocky size.
Well, when they smell potential carrion, they fluff up like you.
It is carrion. You mean the song from Crosby, Stills and Nash?
No.
What is carrion? Is carrion bait?
Carrion is the meat of a dead carcass.
Oh, come on. Oh my God. I think that's so rude. It doesn't say this is the carry-on of a
and it also appears in the song Marion the Librarian.
Oh, okay, but not in that same context.
Yeah, if I stand here till I turn into Carrion, Marion.
Right. So now the one song that I know, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 pockets on the tail. That does not make it any. So as a child, I said he's probably a pool shark. No, that's not what he's
it's the opposite. He's saying pool is trouble.
Trouble.
Here in River City.
Oh, because what? Oh, I see. Because people are coming in.
He's scared. The new pool table comes in. He uses that as his in to scare the parents about their kids and how it's going to spoil the youth. Then you get him with the boys band. Here's something for your kids instead.
Does he have to be affiliated with a high school or something?
No. Musical
so it's almost like
company.
a Pied Piper. He's a Pied Piper.
Sort of. Spiritually, yes, I would say.
Well, I never saw you have so much light in your eyes. I think you know what that means.
That gulp of coffee says it's time to go to questions.
That's right. In the 90s, you'd hear that distinctive snort of Coke. What? Okay.
It's time for questions. What do you want to know? We love your questions so much. It's half our show. Half our show. You want to do Blue Sky? You want to do the Graham first? You choose.
I would
Ladies'
say,
choice.
I go with. Hey, come on, man, lady. I go Graham first.
All right.
I feel like you're on a talk show now.
That's good.
Yeah.
We are sort of. Buscotti Jones, Tweed Smut says, Andy, do you have any advice on how you've
No, sorry.
I bet you do. On how you've dealt with your hit and run OCD. Mine is mild, but it does rear its ugly head every now and then. I've tried telling friends about it, but I've been surprised nobody I know has experienced it. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts and journey. Thanks.
Well, I'm sorry for mocking the question pre-listening to it. This is a very... stop it, and just talk like a human being. Don't blow hard to get up. You don't have to come on like I'm a man who went through a dark tunnel and you're going to help this man see the light.
Thank you.
You know, it's one of these things
we
where...
won't need me.
Yes, that's when the AI comes in. The thing about it is I've used two methods to overcome it. One method is to go ahead, go down the road. What's going to happen? Go ahead, go down the road. What's going to happen? Because in my case, it's usually they didn't get my mail. They're going to take me to court. They're going to take my condo away. Is it usually
right. Worst case scenario styling, as I like to call it with my mom. So.
And when you actually realize that that is not true, that is just your fear.
Right.
And you go down that, and I'm so used to going down that road since I was a little kid. So absolutely seeing, I'm sorry, Josh, I have to have more liquid. Wait a second.
Did you steal that water from an airliner?
No, but that was my Marco Rubio. I'll never forget that Marco Rubio gasping for water. Okay, where were we? Where were we? I know we can get back to this.
You were not hitting and running.
Yes. Okay, so when I was, because there's multi dimensions to it, the way you were raised and the fact that it usually runs through families, OCD, it doesn't have to, but it can run through families. Excuse me. You can start to see how, through therapy is a good way to see it, like, these things came from my childhood, to the degree that they did come from your childhood. Not all of it's from your childhood that you thought you were going to be blamed for everything. And so some of the things that you can think out. However, there are certain things with OCD that you can have to make your own bargain with. And I'll give you one example. Years ago, Susan said, why don't you just get duplicates to your checks? Just get duplicates. This way you'll have the thing, the record's right there, and then maybe you won't check a million times. I don't check it at all. I don't check them. I check 2 or 3 times. That, because it's a workaround. So some things you can work on. But the thing is, you also could maybe benefit from medication, because SSRIs are known to be pretty effective, specifically for OCD. So it's, in many ways, I can't completely separate the fact that I'm still on Prozac from the fact that I don't have OCD and nothing like I had it before.
All right. Well, good. I was just thinking about the concept of of making your own bargains with a disability, for lack of a word, or a differently abled quality, and I have tons of those when it comes to my ADD and stuff.
Oh, so give me an example.
It's hard for me to do that because of my ADD, but but no, there's just lots of things that you go. There's things you can change about yourself and things you have to accept about yourself because they've never changed.
Right.
You
right.
know? And rather than have a recurring fight with yourself about them, you find some way to compensate for it,
And certain things work for certain people, like cognitive behavioral therapy works for some people. But for example, I could never do a thing where, what's the worst case scenario? I'm just going to let it go and let my house burn down. You know what I mean? I'm not going, you learn to go, I'm just going to take the chance. Because in my case, the ADD is so much clouding what I'm doing in the moment that I'm liable to have left the pilot light on. You know what I mean? So that solution of behavior modification could only go so far,
Right.
But if I have to pay something in a store and it's cash, like at a pot store or whatever, I've counted out once and I give it to the person. I say, you tell me how much is there. I'll just keep counting. And once or twice I've been down one or up one.
All right.
But at least people think.
I suspect that it's an all cash business, so they're trained to count it themselves regardless. And B, they're dealing exclusively with stoners. So I feel like they probably allow for a little bit of haphazardness.
There's a lot of Dave's not here all day long.
Right, exactly.
Right? Like when I lost my driver's license at the pot shop, I lost my driver's license because I had given it to the person at the pot shop.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure that out. As I checked, because OCD, you check everything several times. So I went, okay, check my wallet. I had just given it in. So that's the thing too. OCD is also, it's so much based on your mind and then your mind pulling you out of the moment.
Right.
But get my book.
Yeah,
OCD, OC me. Sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, do.
For you.
Well.
Too late.
Yeah. Daniel Bird Doctor says, given how awful things are, one almost longs for the days where we at least had Dennis Miller for you guys to rip up on an extended bit every 3 weeks. Well, what's Dennis Miller covering once in a lifetime as karaoke sound like?
Is this the Talking Head song?
Yeah.
Before you show me what that sounds like, I want to say that the point is a solid point about how there's like you can't even get happy at what you used to get assuaged about. You know what I mean?
Huh?
Shut
No.
the fuck
No,
up.
no,
Shut up.
no.
Shut up, doctor. Why am I trying to say? This is why I think everybody has I think there's a certain built-in dementia in aging where you just realize that many of us did about 65 years of too much talking. I could have shrunk it all down into like 4 solid years. So I don't know what my point is there, but come on, help me. Help me, somebody.
So if you talked less, the rest of us would feel younger.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Right. I think me talking less would be good. That's all I'm saying. And maybe listening.
It has its appeal.
Maybe listening.
Ooh.
Did you hear what I said? Maybe listening.
Ooh.
The Mets are doing good so far. Back to the show.
You may find yourself living in a shotgun shack. Chop, chop.
There we go.
I remember now what I was going to say.
Behind the wheel of a large automobile, like a 1938 Studebaker.
Things are so bad now that making fun of Dennis Miller is not going to help us. That's what it was.
Now we get it.
That's what I meant. That the parodies, it's like doing, hey, did you see this impression of Trump? No, the only guy I want to see is the Saturday Night Live guy. Go ahead. Pass.
Eastside 76. So, anything else in the news? Scared face emoji?
I know exactly how he feels. You know, he's so scared that he changed his title to official American of the Thought Spiral.
That's right.
And his name is now Esau. More biblical?
Delicious Mick says, Uncle Josh, I know I said I don't do a great Trump, but I bet you do a great Slavoj Zizek. Let that throat sing, baby.
Who is it?
It's a Delicious Mick. I was going.
No, I know who it is, but
I don't know.
Who's that name of that person?
I don't know who Slavoj Zizek is.
I thought you did. You said it so comfortably.
Andy, sometimes I can't tell if I'm reading your tweet or Owen Benjamin's. You guys should hang out. Be well, meat sacks.
Do you know what he's trying to? You know what he's trying. He's so transparent.
Yeah.
Do you know what he's saying? Do you think he's recommending Owen Benjamin because he loves Owen Benjamin's tweets and I should check him out?
I think he's trying to be the shrimp in your bobby.
Owen Benjamin is like an out of control right wing, fascistic guy.
Yeah.
And I'm just a Jew.
You're just out of control.
That's true.
Bryce Colton says, Andy and Josh, any plans to watch baseball in person? Possibly when the Mets come out to play the Dodgers.
I think I would like to. I think I'd like to do the old 20 years after whatever my wedding, go back again.
Is that the last time you were at Dodger Stadium? Was your bachelor
party?
No,
I've been there since then. I've been there. But I can't remember when, though, is one thing I'll say.
I'm starting to get a bit of a baseball game yearning.
That's cool. Who do you root for? You should hear them talking about, the Mets guys talking about the Athletics. Because the Athletics have a temporary stadium this year. So what do you call them? Are they the Oakland Athletics? No. The Athletics.
They're the Liminal Athletics right now, I think.
Yeah, Liminal is... Okay, did you look that up with nominal?
No. Blaine Capatch chimed in with a question.
That's so cool.
What has 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the afternoon, and a third thing? Oh, I already called him a hack earlier in the show before.
No, it's not him you're calling a hack. You're calling me a hack.
Oh, okay. That's better.
He's doing an homage.
I feel that more.
Yeah.
Here's Andy Kindler saying, why is Andy so funny 24/7?
Yeah, I just happened to reply to that. I wasn't hoping you'd mention it.
I replied to you. In my experience, it's 23/7.
Oh, boy. That's going to cause a rift. In my experience, it's 23andMe. All right.
All right. Cedric III says, Mama Dick III thinks I'm crazy for filing tax returns this year. Elon and his ketamine soaked crew won't know if I did or not by the time they're tweaking with brain dead Russian models somewhere in the Black Sea.
I think he's right.
She sure paints a picture, don't she? He says.
Is he like a southern, like a hillbilly type of a character?
She's whatever she needs to be. She's a chameleon.
And I don't say hillbilly in a negative way. I say it like J.D. Vance says it, followed by the word elegy.
Right. Greg Kelly says, I'm going to see the Twins host the Mets next Monday at Target Field. Where would Jerry Arrigo fit into this year's Mets plans, Andy?
Jerry Arrigo.
Sorry.
Dude, I've told the story of the show. God damn it, you don't want to remember it.
I really don't.
First of all, who are the Twins he's going to see? I don't get it.
Who are the
I'm
Twins?
Pretending I don't know what the Twins
I see what you're doing.
Is that good?
Yes.
I understand he's going to see a baseball game.
The Sklar brothers are playing the Mets?
We're too funny, guys.
John Dunbar. John Dunbar says, on the Middle of Somewhere podcast, Chad Daniels and Cy Amundsen, who I like both of very much,
yes,
were discussing the Acme book launch event and the comedians there. Cy said, the great J. Elvis Weinstein. Chad replied, what a fantastic, fantastic mind that guy has.
Whoa.
They talked about betting sports with Lewis. Has Josh ever done it? No. Lewis likes to make these bets with comedians, these sort of humiliating sports bets. You know?
I thought it was the staff. I thought it was
both.
The staff.
It's all takers. It's all takers.
Yeah. He will humiliate anybody.
He loves these humiliating bets, and he makes people bet on the thing they love the most, like the Vikings or the Packers or something. I have never made that bet with those kind of bets with Lewis, but he does. Lewis and most of these comics, like Chad and Cy, for example, who I'm very flattered that they said that about me.
Oh, Cy, of course, Cy. Cy.
I'm very flattered that they said that about me. I take third person compliments much better than I take direct compliments. So
I think you're great.
Yeah, see that I don't buy. Yeah,
you smell good.
But if you said it to someone else and I heard about it, that would make me happy.
I get it.
So Lewis and I don't. I mean, Lewis has like a sort of a faux parental relationship with a lot of these comics and stuff. He's their comedy dad,
right?
But we don't have that relationship. We go back further than his club, so I never engage in that kind of bullshit, and he doesn't take pleasure in humiliating me like he does.
Right, and I don't want people to think he's a real.
He humiliates me by booking me,
and we don't want to. He's not doing it. He's doing. These are pranks, like not even a prank, but he has a George Clooney flair.
Yes, he does. And it's like. And the bets are, you have to put on the other team's jersey for a photo that I'll post in my office.
Yes, it's never where he accepts large amounts of money.
No. Someone has to be hurt for him to be happy.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. I think that means that he's a prankster with a heart. Not even a prankster, a sadist with a message.
There you go. Rotten Louie says, hi guys, I hope all is well. I listen to podcasts all day at work, and one of them, called Abject Suffering, had an episode about an actual Dennis Miller video game based on his weekend update routine on the 3DO console in the 90s. During their discussion about how awful it is, they mentioned Andy and the Majority Report and how Sam and Andy would make fun of him. They played a few clips from it, and it is solidly cringe. Not really a question, just curious if any of you had heard of it. Have a safe and happy weekend.
Okay, I'm going to be very, very honest with you, Josh. I started to space out into something about myself. So what is the show? What are they putting me down?
No.
What are they doing?
No.
What are they doing? They
were talking about a Dennis Miller video game.
Right.
Which was solidly cringe, which is what was solid.
Oh, okay. It doesn't bode well for me in terms of Because you won't want to go into these homes, these homes that I'm going to end up in. I want to go in pleasant. I don't want to be, I can't find my shoes. I want to be like,
I can't find my shoes.
no, it's like, hi, what's for dinner? I want to be that guy when I'm taken away.
Yeah. So no, I never heard of the Dennis Miller video game, or frankly, the 3DO console.
It sounds frightening to me.
Dan Marsh says, hey guys, have you ever known someone not involved in comedy who could have been a good comedian if they'd had the drive or freedom to pursue it?
I've met those people, haven't you?
Yeah, but I don't entirely believe
that's true. Because I
mean, my big belief, first of all, with comedy is you have to feel like you have to do it.
Yes.
On some level. And so if those people haven't made the leap to that, then they don't have to do it. It's okay to just be funny in real life.
Right. And what
in fact, we need more of you if you're one of those people.
That I think is a salient point is that you don't want to be like Seinfeld where you're walking around, I've heard all the jokes and therefore I will not laugh because I have a superior sense of humor. The fact that you find people funny for real, is a good thing, and also a good thing it says about the world.
Yeah, like I don't believe the best case scenario for a funny person is to end up a comedian.
Right, necessarily. Yeah. Yes, like my dad, for example.
My dad too. I mean, my dad would not have been a good comedian, but his funniness was an essential part of why people liked him.
That's interesting. My dad would have been, probably miserable, and probably Rickles would have taken his stuff.
Yeah, my dad was much too comfortable in his own skin to be a good comedian.
I don't want him to play Rickles took material. It was just a joke.
Be visited the night by 3 hockey pucks.
I have to admit that sometimes I'm laughing before you come up with a line just from your emotion.
That's good. That's part of the whole package.
It is true. It's not if I buy the premise and you buy the bit.
I've got bag, as the basketball players say.
I don't know what that means at all. Is that swag?
No, it's a bag of tools, tricks of
skills. What do they have?
Skills.
What are they? Are they able to use a wrench? What's changed in the game now? I was playing the dumb guy. Not playing that time.
No, that's just fucking dumb. Frank Defoe says, what's the best guitar solo? Have you cried listening to a song lately? For me, it was You're a Big Girl Now on a Walk Today. Who will save your soul when it comes to the baby? Anyway, guys, I enjoy the Spiral. When it doesn't put me to sleep, it keeps me awake. Long live the economy.
I think that's a wonderful, wonderful, no, I think it's wonderful and a great question. And I would say that's is the lead on Back on the Chain Gang from the Pretenders.
That's the best guitar solo?
That's my favorite.
The lead part or the solo? The question is the solo.
Well, the song's great too.
Yeah. But
the solo is part of the melody of the song, kind of. Then he goes boom. What am I trying to represent? Boom. Bing.
A harmonic.
Thank you.
Or enharmonic.
The pain of being myself just came to fruition, came to pay.
I don't have a song that like makes me cry. Really, I've not, for some reason that sentimentality doesn't trigger my cry response that much.
I feel like it's not something you can predict. If you try to do it every time you listen to a song, it can happen though while I'm listening to a song.
Yeah, I'm sure I could get there, but it's not. Yeah. It's not a. But I've never, as much as music is a huge part of my life, it's rare. I've rarely ever used it to wallow.
Right.
I've always used it to elevate.
If I used comedy not to wallow, I wouldn't even be here. Where would I be if I wasn't wallowing?
Not on this podcast.
Yeah, not in this economy.
$80 guitar says, please explain how tanking the stock market, a $5 trillion tax cut, and imposing tariffs lowers the national debt.
He's just insane. He's really, there's no other way to explain it, that he's just doesn't care about anybody, but it's the worst case scenario of the person who's a president. He's a sadistic psychopath. And he has this, there's no, you come up with.
You gotta put greedy and,
greedy.
Yeah.
And who knows why he thinks terror? Who knows? He just gets this idea in his mind.
I think we're seeing why, because it forces everybody to come to him for a
Please,
brown nose negotiation.
And now they said that it's
both companies and countries.
Right.
So he can pick the winners and losers.
That's how sick he is, though, when he does that impression. That you could tell the depth of his disdain and hate for people when he does his impression of people coming to him. I have all these countries calling me up now. They're going, please, sir.
Right.
Please, sir. That character is what he does all the time of how people he says addresses him.
Right.
That guy's not nice.
He's not a good.
And what about in terms of it being transparently, intellectually wrong?
It's intellectually dishonest. It is.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tom K says, when people say something like the boxer was knocked out and hit the ground like a sack of meat, what meat are they envisaging in the sack? Would a fabric-wrapped asteroid of turkey giblets be very different to, say, a Hessian bag of beef shoulder?
This is, and I have OCD, but I've never thought of these type of things. But I do think what they're actually referring to is human, dead human. Like they've knocked over dead humans,
right? And
that's what they're comparing it to.
Yes,
not a dead pig,
a fleshy bag of human meat.
Yes, I'm not even saying that it's all from one human.
Stephen Elton Yates says there's no such thing as a jinx, but I still feel like my watching or not watching a sporting event can affect the outcome. Do either of you ever feel that way? I bet Andy does. I don't.
Well, that's nice that everybody thinks I'm a superstitious guy who got 16 years of bad luck. You know what? Don't walk under ladders. I forgot the question now, but what is it again?
Do you feel like you can jinx your team by watching or not watching?
I do think of that, but then I've thought past that. I do think that that's a silly thing. I think it's more like this. You don't want to watch every game. So you might go, I don't want to watch it. And then you later on go, I didn't want to jinx it. But I do believe I have power over, like the president of the United States. Like, you can hear me right now.
He's at his physical today, so do get to work.
He doesn't have a physical.
He does.
Is that with the same guy?
He's going to Walter Reed today.
And he's doing it with that guy?
That
guy's not there anymore.
I'm sure someone will.
Dr. Vinny Boom Bots.
There's someone to fudge his weight for him.
Is it Dr. Vinny Boom Bots?
That was Johnny Carson's doctor, yes. Or was it Rodney Dangerfield's doctor?
Rodney Dangerfield, yeah.
And then Carson borrowed it like so many things.
Yes, like he borrowed the Jonathan Winters routines and every goddamn else thing.
Jackie Gleason, too, plenty. Yeah. Finally.
Ooh. Oh, before you say finally, I have to say, I read this article about the Mark Twain thing.
What Mark Twain? The Mark Twain prize?
The prize.
Yeah.
They had one, I don't know if it's the last one they did or the first one that they're doing, but someone said that Jay Leno was the villain. And then I didn't read the rest of the article. Has Jay Leno done something embarrassing?
No, it was probably because Conan O'Brien got the Mark Twain prize.
So he was making
Jay
a
Leno
point.
jokes, probably.
Oh, I see. Right. He was basically, I got it. Okay. But it sounds like it's going to be a lot of things are improving at the RFK Jr. Kennedy Center. Don't think that's all bad news. I like some anti-vax musicals.
Finally, as I was saying, Stephen Chaotic Neutral says, it's weird to remember that Trump used to run beauty pageants. He stopped because he hates being around people who want world peace.
I think that's true.
It is.
That is true. It's ironic. it's also sad. You say his name at the beginning of the show. You say his name at the end of the show. There's no time where I go, wow, glad you reminded me about Trump. Now my mouth's all dry like Marco Rubio.
Let's get out before we hear the smack.
I thought it was loving and tender.